So there are a couple of good reasons to spend your money on the Ford Bronco Sport, a couple of good reasons not to as well. We'll be diving into all of that in this video, and along the way on our little Bronco Sport journey together, we'll be going into the math behind why a little later in this video. But first, let's kick things off with a little exploring. My tester is the $41,899 Bronco Sport Heritage with $600 worth of hot pepper red tinted clear coat paint, as well as the optional Copilot 360 Assist Plus safety system and Heritage convenience package, making it 45,944 Canadian loons for the machine on your screen. Welcome to the back seat of the Bronco Sport. This is my very good friend Chris, who is 6'4",
roughly. And we can see, so up here, how the roof lifts, and that's partly for getting mountain bikes back there, but also helpful if you're a 6'4" guy. So I'm going to open this and just give the people a look.
Yeah,
so
lots of headroom.
You've still got a pretty good bit of headroom back there at your height. Your knees are not touching, but you know, we got some space. And can you show us how you fit in the front?
Yeah.
At 6'4"? Sure
can.
So yeah, there's Chris at 6'4" in the front seat, and like, I guess if you tilt your head up, your brim of your hat's kind of
a little close, but not bad.
So as we were saying, this is kind of a headroom champion, this thing, and there's the proof. You could fit in the, you're comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And you can see out of there pretty good.
Very well.
In back, it's a cargo area with rubberized surfaces, easily accessible power and supplemental lighting, and a slide-out flip-open shelf divider that can turn your cargo hold into a two-tier ordeal in a moment, or transform into a bumper-supported shelf or workstation by folding out its two hidden legs. It's perfect for tailgating. This gives you a dry, illuminated place to cook, eat, or set up gear while you're out exploring. So a little more detail here on the utility and versatility side for you when it comes to the rear seats and cargo area.
12-volt power outlet here, auxiliary lighting on this side, and when we press that, little LED lights up here and here, which can be aimed around, which is handy. Little hooks to keep your stuff secure. The folding divider shelf, which gives us kind of a two-tier ordeal here for storage. So we can flip this over this way. We now have a top and a bottom, locked and locked. So that's locked in position there. We can see sticking out just a little bit. You want to have these legs angled this way, right out to kind of the corners of the bumper there, and that's going to give you that flat workspace, eating space, cooking space, gear setting up space, and so on.
Big openings and squared-off accents give the cabin a tough and durable-looking atmosphere, with shapes and contrasting colors starring in the show more than buttons and control surfaces. Tall glass visually opens the cabin and helps improve visibility for the driver, who has two proper cup holders and at least two generously sized open storage cubbies within arm's reach. The Bronco logo on the steering wheel replaces the standard issue blue oval Ford logo for a more exclusive touch too. So at a glance, it's appropriately rugged and upscale and connected with the Bronco Sport's mission of encouraging drivers to get out and explore its capabilities while checking out someplace new. Still, closer inspection may reveal disappointments for some shoppers. Specifically, the central touch interface and graphics are good but not segment-leading. The analog instrumentation looks particularly low-tech in comparison to the all-digital displays offered by numerous competitors, and both the steering wheel and climate control surfaces look and feel more low-budget than you might expect for the price. So let me give you a close-up look here so that you can see what I mean. So specifically, right, we've got these sort of old school looking buttons here that are all about the same shape and size, meaning you'll probably have to glance down to see which button you're pressing before you press it just to make sure. I mean, these are fine, they're thoroughly adequate, I suppose, but if there was an opportunity to do something sort of flashy and upscale here, they definitely missed it. Also, the instrument cluster has this computer in the middle here, which looks modern and high-tech. But it's flanked by these dials that look pretty dated, pretty old school here, especially compared to the all-digital instrument clusters you're going to find in a lot of competitors at this price point. Something about them just reminds me of like a Ford Focus from 10 years ago. After 10 days and a few thousand kilometers of testing the Bronco Sport during early pothole season in Northern Ontario, the machine's ride quality on rough surfaces stood out as an asset. The ride is more forgiving and car-like than the tall and blocky look leads on, and even some of Sudbury's most poorly decomposed public roads failed to coax much drama out of my tester's ride. It feels solid, durable, and quiet when traveling over surfaces that can pull plenty of harshness and noise from the ride and many competitors. Testing notes revealed a backroads drive that shines with a strong sense of generous suspension travel, expert control over body motions which are kept from ever getting too dramatic, and solid overall control over noise, vibration, and harshness levels experienced by the driver in a very rough road setting. Suspension noise levels increase less than expected while the shocks take a beating, and the Bronco Sport's body only seems to move as much as it needs to with no squidgy bouncing and rebounding. The overall ride here feels durable and well sorted. The steering is isolated nicely from the surface of the road with minimal feedback transmitted back to the driver. This makes the Bronco Sport easier to control, and I figure versus most comparable machines in this setting, I can tackle these rougher road surfaces a little more quickly, a little more comfortably, and a fair bit more quietly. I also noted strong control over interior trim and body panel rattles, though some were still apparent from the rear of the vehicle at times in these settings. All in all, though, the Bronco Sport's ability to take on a rough surface without feeling like it's taking too much of a licking makes for an encouraging driving machine when it comes to beating around in the bush or the back roads. The turning circle and maneuverability feels small and car-like, and while the Bronco Sport's steering lacks much meaningful feedback and feel at highway speeds, it does feel very light and easy to move around in tight quarters. That's great for the mall parking lot, and also a benefit in off-road driving since it makes the Bronco Sport easier to place. I'm not calling its 3-cylinder engine gutsy, but I do think most drivers will find it hits harder than its 1.5 liters of displacement in 3 cylinders leads on. There's good mid-range kick and properly spaced gear ratios that help with responsive city driving and highway passing and merging. Worked hard, this engine doesn't sound bad or winded, and it doesn't run out of steam as max revs approach. The 8-speed automatic shifts a bit more slowly and carefully than its more athletic competitors, but it does respond quickly enough to throttle inputs, and it's smooth and laid back no matter how hard you're working it. Though at times in stop-and-go traffic, low-speed gear shifts can feel a bit sloppier than expected, pulling away a little at the overall refinement. For the average fuel economy-oriented driver who will rarely tow or travel loaded up, it should prove just fine, but there is the punchier 2-liter 4-cylinder engine available instead. Highway noise levels are adequate, not impressive, a little past the highway speed limit, and many drivers will need to raise their voice a little for a phone call or conversation with a nearby passenger. I also noted my tester's interior noise levels to be largely at the mercy of the pavement surface beneath, with coarsely textured pavement punching up noise levels higher than I expected. Brakes perform well with a pedal feel that's consistent and reliable, but a little too spongy and squishy for my tastes. If you're coming to a Bronco Sport from something on the sportier side of the spectrum, allow for a reduction in feel and precision from the controls, specifically the steering and brakes. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Justin Pritchard for Driving.ca. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below if you learned something new. And until next time, take care and drive safe. These glossy screens are like my worst enemy. You know, I use the good cameras, right, because I want the shots to look as clear and as nice as I can for viewers. But I'm telling you, these glossy screens, and I did this yesterday, it is just impossible, but we're gonna try.